ज्योतिष का ज्ञान यह रे रहस्य Astrology's knowledge deep as sea नक्षत्र कहानियाँ कहता यहाँ Constellations tell their stories to thee कुंडलिनी जगाओ आत्मा जागृत करो Awaken Kundalini, let your spirit rise ऊर्जा भीतर से बहती है Energy flows from deep inside.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Quicksilver Astrology Weekly Aspect Report. We'll be covering the aspects for the week, well, for actually the beginning of the month, December 1st, which was yesterday. So apologies for the late release on the video, but we did end up putting out a new moon report. So check that as well for the new moon in Scorpio. So we already kind of got into a little bit of the beginning of the month here, and I'm going to jump right into Moon Square Saturn. My name is Tony Victor. If you don't already know, please follow me on QuicksilverAstrology.com. You can check that website out, and it has links to the bookstore, the new tarot deck that's out, as well as my YouTube page. You can check those links out at the top of the banner. And the first link, the first square we have, first aspect, Moon Square Saturn, is the Moon in Sagittarius at 12 degrees and Saturn at 12 degrees Pisces, giving us some minor arcana cards of the Two of Wands and the Two of Cups. So we have our fire and water energy together. So in terms of relationships, this is an aspect that we should consider here. We have the Two of Wands, meaning it can be an opening to something, opening to a deepening of the relationship with Pisces, or this could also kind of mean a breaking away from a deep relationship, being that it is the Two of Wands. It could also mean separation as opposed to opening. Or it could just mean healing. Maybe you need time apart in order to heal. That could be a possibility too. The Two of Wands does present new opportunities, though. Keep your eyes open. All right, and in the next aspect, we'll be taking a look at Moon opposition Jupiter. And for the Moon in Sagittarius, that is at 17 degrees, and Jupiter's at 17 degrees of Gemini. So for that aspect, we have the Seven of Wands and the Seven of Swords. So this can mean kind of having to stand your ground here in this particular situation, or you might want to run away. There's two opposite opportunities here for whatever situations are going on in your life. But when we look at this energy, this Jupiter energy, it's something that's expanding. Okay, so well, that is Jupiter. And Gemini is about the mind, mental activity. So how is this going to manifest? This all depends on you personally, of course. But collectively speaking, how these personal planets are affecting us right now, I do see it as a situation that's going to grow into something bigger. So if that means there's a confrontational thing going on already in your life, or a situation you want to get away from to escape, that's kind of something that has been building for a while, most likely. But now that we're looking at the new moon in Sagittarius, this is something that could also be starting in Sag and grow very quickly. So it could be that too. It doesn't necessarily have to be from the past. We did a lot of clearing the previous month with the moon in Scorpio. There was a lot of things that came to an end, especially with the Pluto moving into Aquarius. That is going to clear a lot of things for us on many different levels. But we're going to go from right there into the conjunction, which is Moon conjunct Mercury, Moon at 19 degrees Sagittarius, and Mercury at 19 degrees Sagittarius. So that just is going to end up giving us one card for the placement for the minor arcana, which is going to be the Nine of Wands. And what that's going to be for us is the gentleman with the Nine of Wands is the guy that's kind of standing. He looks like he's wounded, but he's standing around a bunch of stabs. There's literally 9 stabs all around him. So maybe something hurt him, but he's experienced. He's been around for a long time. That's kind of that card right there. But what does that mean in terms of the particular energy surrounding it? The moon and Mercury. So being as that this is the first, we're kind of looking at the energy of again, this energy has been carrying over from the previous month into this new month. So something about being experienced, but we're also kind of considering something, thinking about something very deeply with Mercury. What does that mean for us in particular? Well, I mean, we could be looking at a bunch of different things, but with the mercurial energy, it's going to be about communication. So this is us trying to deal with the wounded warrior type of energy. Sagittarius is about healing. So I would tend to say this is more about that, um, the healing energy in Sagittarius, recuperating from something, and it might be that now things finally come to hit you directly after this Scorpio energy. You feel that wound. You're working on it still, but now it's in the forefront. It's been talked about, or at least thought about, felt emotionally. There's an inner communication that's taking place on the level of the Nine of Wands in terms of that wounded warrior type energy. So take a look at that or feel that. That is that particular energy that I'm getting as I'm looking at these placements. For the next day, December 2nd, we have two aspects we'll be looking at. Venus trine Uranus is the first one, Venus at 24 degrees Capricorn, and Uranus at 24 degrees of Taurus. For Venus, we have the Two of Pentacles that we're going to be looking at. And Uranus gives us, at 24 degrees, gives us the placement of the Eight of Pentacles. So for Uranus in Taurus, this is kind of an just the aspect of itself, or the planets, just with having Uranus and Taurus itself is kind of one of those things where it's an unstable thing to begin with. But then you take Venus in Capricorn, and Venus is kind of unstable at 24 degrees as it's the Two of Pentacles. So shaking things up, and when already things are shaken up to begin with, this can be in relationships, Venus's relationships. It can be also finances too. Venus in Capricorn can definitely be about finances. So it could be an instability there. And then you have your Eight of Pentacles, which is about work. So hard work and instability in work, but there's some sort of sense of ease. Maybe you have what you need right now in life, and so it's easier for you to consider other things in terms of career or job situations that you might want to take a look at. So maybe this is a situation of instability that makes you reconsider your relationships, especially with your work life. So take a look at that and see what you can come up with out of that energy. So for the next one, we'll be looking at Moon square Neptune. And Moon is at 27 degrees Sagittarius, whereas Neptune is at 27 degrees of Pisces. Yeah, Moon 27 degrees Sagittarius, Neptune 27 Pisces. Okay. With that degree placement, we have two cards. We have the Eight of Wands and the Eight of Cups. With this square energy, it's a bit of difficulty in terms of wanting to leave something. Okay, so there's some difficulty in terms of leaving. Eight wants to make you get up and go real quick, and the Eight of Wands, the Eight of Pentacles, the Eight. We'll try again. The Eight of Cups makes you want to leave things behind and go on a long journey. So this is very swift energy, and being that it's Sagittarius, we want to get out of wherever it is very quickly. It's kind of one of those things where it can be either about travel or, maybe this is something you've been thinking about for a very long time. But Sagittarius does make you want to get up and get moving. So with the square energy, though, for some reason, you just might not be able to do it. It might have to be a trip, kind of an emotional or mental trip. Maybe pick up a book instead, because you might not be able to get away for whatever reason. So with that being said, we're actually going to move on to December 4th. We're skipping over the 3rd because there aren't really any major aspects we're going to be looking at in this particular case. December 4th, our first aspect is Mercury opposition Jupiter. Mercury is at 16 degrees Sagittarius, Jupiter at 16 degrees Gemini. So we have, for our first placement here, we have the Six of Wands in Sag, and then the Six of Swords in Gemini. So this oppositional energy is either going to mean victory for us in one sense, or it's going to mean packing up and leaving, going on a long distance journey. And again, we're in that Sagittarius energy here all this month. So it could mean about traveling also for, for whatever reasons to bring you success. So it could be that too. But the Six of Wands is generally a very positive card. It can be people rallying around a leader too. You're moving forward in the right direction. You're doing the right things. That is the Six of Wands. So if you feel like you're not doing that, then maybe it is time to take a break and kind of get away from it all. And that would be the Six of Swords. Next aspect is Sun square Saturn. So the Sun is at 13 degrees of Sag, and Saturn is at 13 degrees of Pisces. So now we move on to the placements of, it gives us the Three of Wands and the Three of Cups. And what does this mean for us? Okay, so the focus here is on the outlook. The Three of Wands is about having a particular outlook on things or viewing things collectively as a whole. So what do we see? What's in our sights? The Sun is very much about setting our sights on something, our focus, our goal, our pleasure, our everything. That is the Sun. And when we're looking at that paired with the Three of Cups, which it's squaring, this to me says kind of career focus, work affiliations. So it's not necessarily about the more hard, difficult aspects of work so much as it is the more social sides of work. So maybe the social side of things becomes a bit more difficult for us with this square. And we can see that there's certain relationships at work that are more difficult for us to deal with than ordinarily, or maybe now we're just seeing they've always been difficult. That's kind of one of those things where we may have not seen things clearly in the past, but now this Three of Wands allows us to see things clearly. So our work relationships, and it can also be about our friendly relationships, but just the fact that it's Saturn in Pisces makes me want to go with talking about work. So watch out for your relationships at work and try not to have difficulty if you can avoid it. Okay, so yeah, with that, just to say one more thing. The difficulty at work that you may or may not experience, try to be conscious of the moment in which you find yourself having interactions with different people, how you react to things, how they react to what you say. Keep that in mind, and things may be likely to go smoother. With that being said, we're going to go on to our final aspects. We'll be looking at the Moon conjunct Venus, and we'll also be looking at Moon conjunct Pluto. So Moon conjunct Venus, we have the Moon at 27 degrees of Capricorn, and Venus at 27 degrees of Capricorn. And that's going to give us the Two of Pentacles. So unstable Venus here. So again, we're facing difficulties with relationships this month and how we deal with them and what may come after. Other opportunities arise, or, it may just be time to dissolve a relationship. That can be too. So, but with this, again, it can be juggling relationships, being that it's Capricorn. In Venus and Capricorn, it could be balancing your personal relationships with your work relationships. That's very much Capricornian. Okay. And now we go to the last conjunction of this particular day, December 4th, so our last aspect, which is going to be the Moon conjunct Pluto, Moon at 0 degrees Aquarius, and Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius. And this is what we've been talking about This is what we covered this in the new moon report for Sagittarius. Okay, so the Five of Swords. This is a difficult transition for us. The Pluto moving into Aquarius now with the Five of Swords becomes very divisive. And I'm not going to go over this too much as we've already covered it, but it's breaking free from some things, and yet you're breaking away from other people because of the divisiveness. So yet you might feel a sense of liberation in your ability to be truthful about how you feel about things. However, that doesn't mean it doesn't cause difficulties with other people, because this card says it does. So be prepared for that. You feel like you can be open and that you should be open, and you're going to, but it may not be good for how you've interacted with other people in the past. You just may not be able to deal with them now that you're in this Pluto and Aquarius energy. The relationships just might not work anymore. And I think that's definitely part of what we've already covered today. This Pluto energy sets the collective energy, which is why now in this particular new moon, we're experiencing the difficulties of relationships, previous relationships, work relationships, personal relationships, all relationships. So do be aware of that. Okay, we're on December 5th now, and we'll be looking at Moon opposition Mars here. Moon at 6 degrees Aquarius and Mars at 6 degrees Leo. And our placements here give us the Two of Wands and the Ten of Wands. So actually, correction, I meant to say the Two of Wands and the Two of Swords for that particular opposition. So it's going to be an energy feeling of division in general. And then with the Moon opposing Mars, Mars is that energy that really wants to make us oppose things. So when you have the Two of Swords and the Two of Wands, there's two opposing sides of views in this as well, okay? So one is a very fiery energy, and then the other is, of course, air, so that's very mental. But when we're looking at these two different things here, there's also an opportunity for an opening. So that would be the Two of Wands. So even though there is a sense of division in this case, maybe someone is able to be open to your point of view, and that could be helpful. Even though it is an opposition, I do see it as an opportunity. So maybe there is something there to be found, as opposed to just potential confrontation or division. Okay, next aspect is Sun conjunct Mercury. 14 degrees Sagittarius for the Sun and 14 degrees Sagittarius for Mercury. So yes, they fall in the same position, giving us the Four of Wands for both of them. So very festive energy. Maybe it's something that's come to a conclusion. It can be celebratory in general. A rite of passage. You know, that finish line for whatever it is. And the fact that it's in Sagittarius just makes it more joyful. So I do see this as kind of, it could be a party occasion too, something that you're celebrating regardless of either externally or internally. It's just a celebration. And that will bring us to the end of the 5th, and we're going to move on to the next set of aspects here. And let's scroll up. We'll be looking at December 6th. And let's see what our next aspect is going to give us here. So for the 6th, we have, just give me one moment here. Okay. We'll be looking at Moon trine Jupiter, it looks like. So it's interesting, it's a trine, but they're in two air signs, so giving us those swords energy. Moon trine Jupiter. So Moon 16 degrees Aquarius and Jupiter 16 degrees Gemini, giving us the Three of Swords and the Six of Swords. So I kind of see this as the aftermath of something, being that it is Three of Swords is heartbreak, suffering in general, and then the Six of Swords is leaving it behind, moving away from it. So the trine aspect ease and all this comes from it's not so bad because you see things, brighter things on the horizon. That's how I would look at it. The Six of Swords, as the gentleman is moving the boat through the water, maybe they see something off in the distance that looks like it's going to be much brighter future for them. So this tends to bring a positive aspect to it, and Jupiter does bring good boons at times. So Jupiter and Gemini in this case, I feel like it's going to lead us to something way better, even though we have this card of suffering now. But yeah, that's kind of where things have been at this past month in Scorpio. So I think we're moving beyond that now, and this is kind of that conjunction that makes me think that. And then we're going to move down to our next aspect here, which is going to be, it's going to give us the Two of Pentacles and the Two of Swords. And that is Moon square Uranus, Moon 24 degrees Aquarius, and Uranus 24 degrees Taurus. Okay, so with that, we have the energy is divisive and yet balancing and unstable, or a choice is to be made here. And that square energy makes it a difficult choice. And the reason why we're having this choice, we feel like we need to choose between two things, and that's that, especially with the Two of Pentacles. So the Two of Pentacles in Taurus, we're already unstable again, as I've said before. That's that difficulty of that position there. And then the Moon at the 24 degrees Aquarius, it's a decision. What decision are we going to make? How's it going to affect us? There's that unpredictability with Uranus. So it's a decision we might have tried to think out, but we don't really know how it's going to go. And that's just unpredictable Uranus. Okay, so then we have our next aspect and final one for the 6th of December. That is Mercury square Saturn, Mercury 13 degrees Sagittarius, and Saturn at 13 degrees Pisces. So for this placement, we have the Three of Wands and Three of Cups. So we've seen this energy before, and we've talked about this in another way. But there is a lot of recurrence in this energy here, in the world in general, not just in astrology, but astrology is the world. But I mean, in terms of recognizing these things in the mundane world, as opposed to us talking about them in the context of astrology, there is a lot of things that happen over and over again. And that is par for the course on the higher planetary levels. So don't be surprised if things come back and show themselves again in terms of thematically and recurring again for us. So with the Three of Wands and the Three of Cups, we were talking about a work situation before. And it's probably going to be very similar again. However, with the specific energy we have going on, yeah, it looks like it's going to be very similar because I see Mercury and I see Saturn. Saturn is work. Mercury is communication. So communication at work. And that's why I associated these cards with that, as previously talked about. So I am going to leave it at that for that aspect, because I just see it being a pattern that repeats itself this week. So let's go to the next one, the next days of aspects, which is December 7th. The first one is Venus conjunct Pluto, and the conjunction happens at 0 degrees Aquarius. Okay, so now again, here's some more recurrence for us. We're talking about Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius, giving us the Five of Swords. But now Venus is here, and this even more. This really goes back to what I said again about the relationship situations. It is going to cause division in relationships for us, whether we want to or not, and it's going to liberate us in a particular way, liberate us from obligation, but bring us more towards our true selves. So I see this as kind of being karmic in a way that the relationships that we've had in the past will no longer serve us. There's this situation, there's a situation that might be better for us out there, and that's going to appear on so many different levels for us. And really, that's the best way I can say that. How I can phrase that. That is the best way to phrase that entire aspect right there. So the next and final aspect is an opposition. December 7th, also Sun opposition Jupiter. Sun at 16 degrees Sag and Jupiter at 16 degrees of Gemini. So again, more recurrence for you. You have the Six of Wands and the Six of Swords. So with this opposition, though, it's a difficulty of, are you going to win or are you going to leave? Are you going to give up and move on? So keep pushing forward till the end. It's not so much of a pushing forward, because if it was going to be successful, you'd be feeling it by now. That is the Six of Wands. You feel like you can move forward into victory with ease. Whereas the Six of Swords is kind of like, well, I kind of knew this all along. It wasn't going to work out, so let's just go ahead and let things go. It's time to give it up at that point. And that's that opposition right there. But it won't be too much of an opposition for you once you are honest with yourself and tell yourself the truth that you already knew how it was going to go, and now this is how it's going to go. All right, so that is that for the 7th. Okay, December 8th, very busy day in terms of aspects. Moon square Mercury is our first aspect. We're looking at Moon 11 degrees Pisces, Mercury 11 degrees Sagittarius, giving us the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Cups. So a burden of something is a burden for us, but we've been carrying it for a long time, and we're going to lay it down somehow. Either it's going to end in success or we're going to have to give it up. But yeah, so this is where that square aspect comes into play. It's that either or type of energy. It can be difficult for us, but it can also, it can lead to success, especially since we're also looking at the 10 of Cups in Pisces. That's kind of the best of all worlds, the culmination, a happy end. But it could also be an illusion because it is a square. So the 10 of Cups can be about grand illusions. It can be what we've hoped for, what we've dreamed for, and we may end up dropping all the sticks at the end. The 10 of Wands could all come crashing down. But I think that the Sagittarius energy behind it all, though, has kind of already told us where we're going to go with it. Either we've been working on something for a long time and put in the right amount of effort and energy, and maybe that is what's hopeful about it, that we know what we're doing, we know what we're talking about, and we planned for it. It just doesn't seem like it's going to go any other way. We know what's going to happen. But the square of it can also be the doubt within it, because, those hopes and dreams can also feel like they're illusions too. It can feel like it's never going to happen. But it's a positive card. The 10 of Cups is a positive card. The only thing I don't like about it is in Pisces, and Pisces is about hidden things. So maybe this is a bit hidden from you in terms of you're just not being able to see it clearly. And I think that's a lot of the difficulty of this square right here. So that's what I have to say about that. Okay, so the next one we'll be looking at is a conjunction. Moon conjunct Saturn. Moon at 13 degrees Pisces, Saturn at 13 degrees Pisces. So, yep, that will give us one singular card, the 3 of Cups. And I see this as more work affiliation concerns. So it just keeps coming back, and work will be a big focus this month, it looks like. With all the cards we've been looking at, at least this week, work will be a big focus for us and our relationships with the people there. So that's pretty much a good place to leave it, because we've already talked about that energy a lot for this week as it is. Okay, next aspect, Moon square Jupiter. Moon 16 degrees Pisces, Jupiter 16 degrees Gemini. And we have a little bit different energy here now. We got the 6 of Cups, and again, we're back to the 6 of Swords, though, for the air sign of Gemini. So Pisces, with the Pisces energy, deep giving from the heart. That is the 6 of Cups in the situation. And that is especially true since we're looking at Jupiter, and that Jupiter energy, although it's ruled by Pisces, uh, it's still going to be that energy of you're wanting to give it, but maybe it's not well received because it's a square. So you want to give something, but it may not be received well by the other person and may cause you to separate from them or leave them behind. And that could be the Six of Swords. It could be that too. But yeah, the Pisces is about deep emotion, so it can be leaving, and it could be more about the past, really, because we're talking about the Six of Cups is also about the past, relationships from the past, and then the Six of Swords is trying to leave that behind. So it's difficult to leave our traumas behind, our karma behind, but that's what we're doing. We're leaving that behind this month. A lot of that is going to be healed. It already has been working. We've been working on it last month. So even though it is a square, I think in the end that it's going to be able to be moved on from the difficulty of that. So either gifting someone, looking back at past relationships, past traumas, healing that and moving on. And yeah, that square energy is kind of that trauma that's involved in that, I would say. Okay, so Sun square Moon. And that will be, looks like our last aspect for this report. So we're looking at Sun 17 degrees Sagittarius and the Moon at 17 degrees Pisces. So we have the energy of the Seven of Cups and the Seven of Wands. So it's kind of like picking your battles, really, is what that comes down to. What battle is going to be your focus this month or this week? Seven of Cups is choosing your illusions. It can be about that too. Picking anything. It's also about the seven deadly sins, but yeah, I don't really see it as that in this, just because of the two cards that are showing up with the combination of them. You have the Seven of Swords. I'd say this is more about picking your battles, standing your ground, and sticking with what you choose out of those options. And that's going to cover it for this report. Please like, subscribe, check out the website if you haven't already. Again, the new tarot deck is available on quicksilverastrology.com. Click at the top of the website, and you will see a link there that goes to the purchase page. All right, I'll see y'all next week. Thanks for listening.
ज्योतिष का ज्ञान यह हरे रहस्य Astrology's knowledge deep as sea नक्षत्र कहानियाँ कहता यहाँ Constellations tell their stories to thee कुंडलिनी जगाओ आत्मा जागृत करो Awaken Kundalini, let your spirit rise ऊर्जा भीतर से बहती है Energy flows from deep inside